Welcome to the Bare Bones Podcast. You slags.
Yes. Welcome, you slags, to the Bare Bones Podcast, yeah? Episode number 1. We're calling it Bare Bones because that's how I've operated for almost every hobby I've ever had. Way back, even when I was, a lot younger, I used to record a bit of music and stuff, and I never bothered to get all the proper equipment, so I was always just making do, plugging cables into this, into that, and just finding a way. But for me, that was part of it, and I used to really enjoy that problem solving, making something work. So that's kind of where we're at with this. I haven't invested in a great deal of software technology or hardware for this as of yet. I'm sort of just dipping my toe in the podcast pond, and if you guys are vibing it, and if I'm enjoying it, then I'll keep it going. I'm more so interested in how I'm feeling about it. I think it's gonna. I'm hoping it's gonna be quite cathartic. Just having a chat and having a bit of a think about a few things, because I've pretty much documented my whole life up to this point from the age of about 15. I used to photograph everything, and then I got a video camera, and that was that. I mean, this is back before like phones had decent cameras on, so I had a video camera, and I used to just tape everything. Like, there was a time when I used to just tape everything, man. I used to, like, my mum making dinner, just being sat around at home, if I was at mates' places. A few friends used to ride mountain bikes and stuff, so we used to go and film that, or skateboarding, trying to get some like legit footage. But most of the footage I got was just day-to-day nothingness. I was always just waiting for something to happen. You know, like the You've Been Framed, funniest home videos sort of vibe. But nothing ever did. So I've got hours of footage of just nothing really. But I recently found a hard drive actually with some of that footage on, and so good just to look back. And back when you used to live with your parents, my brother and sister lived at home too. Really sort of interesting to just see how the family dynamic was, Yeah, glad I did that. And then when I was sort of 16, I started writing like a diary, like a journal, just about what I'd be up to at school. It's the time when you start meeting girls. I remember we used to like have house parties back then. Someone's parents would go away, they'd get a few bottles of WKD in and all that. Someone might nick a little bit of ganja from somewhere, and so I used to try and I didn't ever want to incriminate myself, so I used to try and write in a little bit of a sort of code, which, looking back on it, is, I mean, I deciphered it in about 2 seconds. I don't know who I thought I was kidding with that code. So yeah, the podcast seems like the next logical step I mean, I still keep the journal. I still write that. And that's 90% mundane as well. What I've done at work, how I'm bored of cooking, accessories I've bought for my car or whatever, you know. It did get me in a little bit of bother a few years ago, but that was all a big misunderstanding, and it almost put me off doing it, but I kind of feel like I need to do it. It originated from not being able to sleep too well and being a little bit sort of scared of everything. So I used to write down a lot of my problems and stuff, and it used to help me process them, because you'd have to, when you're writing, you have to obviously like formulate structured sentences so it makes sense. So you have to think about your thoughts logically, to put them in some sort of order. And then once you start writing them, you realise that they don't make a lot of sense and the whole thing's a bit irrational. So that's how it started. And then I started fusing it with like sketchbook work, and it became kind of half illustrations, half annotations. But yeah, it's been really helpful for me, that. But the podcast, yeah, I'm hoping to get some sort of something out of it. I'm sure there'll be some people who listen to this and think I'm just talking absolute nonsense and don't agree with it, and someone's bound to be offended by something, but that is unfortunately the world that we live in these days. I actually saw today that photo that's knocking about of the Cockney songstress Adele. How she's got well skinny. Not even skinny, she just got in shape, actually, to be fair. And people just going mad about it. Like, she was fat, and now she's not. That's literally the whole story. She was fat, now she's not. It's bizarre how people are kicking off about it. I saw one comment said she's fat shamed her old self. It's like, what does that even mean? You know, if she was happy being big, cool. But she obviously wasn't. So now she's got thin. Brilliant. You know? Why the people that are moaning about it, I think, are the people who were happy she was bigger because it made them feel better about themselves. And now she's put in the work, they're annoyed because they feel even more lazy. Like, oh, it is achievable. I mean, I'm far from athletic, don't get me wrong. I've never been to a gym, but I'm just genetically kind of lucky enough, I guess, that I don't seem to put on weight very easy. I'm only a tiny wee fella. But I'm not like angry at people who are in shape, you know? If you're willing to put that much time and effort into looking like that, then good on you. I mean, I recently, during lockdown, joined a couple of my sort of more athletically in tune friends for a cycle ride. I got convinced, hey, this is a good idea. And we went. I mean, I haven't ridden a bike properly for a long time, let alone for more than a couple of kilometers. And we were powering up this hill. I was at the back, obviously, and we got to the top, and I fainted. I proper Textbook, fell over, blacked out, fainted. Embarrassing. I mean, luckily they were real good about it, and obviously a little bit concerned, but oh my god, went for a cycle, passed out. So yeah, I'm far from fit myself, but you can't be hating on someone for improving themselves, you know. So yeah, good on her. It's there's plenty of women out there fighting for the it's my body, my rules, you know, unless it makes me feel bad. Yeah, maybe we're delving into potentially offensive areas there, but you know, being offended's fine. If you're offended, you're offended. That's up to you. I think it was Steve Hughes was saying it's fine to be offended. Nothing happens. You know, and he's right. If you're offended by something, that is the end of it. So, you know, it's funny, how things go like that. Recently, I've been seeing this new wave of, you know, the SoundCloud rapper, the goth style or whatever they're calling it. You know, Little Peep, Little Xan, Little whatever. There's even one out there, Baby Goth. And it's just real funny how that's gone right that way. I can remember, you know, growing up being into skateboarding, I've always been into my heavy metal. I remember I had a Korn hoodie that I used to wear to school. Man, you'd get ripped for it. You'd get absolutely ripped for it. Used to call you, like, I remember walking to town with my skateboard and someone called me a dirty gothic. Like, I was a skater boy. You know, I was like what Avril Lavigne was writing about. I weren't a goth. But that was it. You were just tarred with that brush. You listened to Slipknot, goth. And now it's come around and they've claimed it. You're getting people like Travis Scott, and they're having mosh pits at these like hip hop shows. Man, I can remember going to sort of go to see local bands, and there'd be like, you know, a load of the sort of chavvy lads would turn up, look through the window, and they just like couldn't understand what was going on. Could not understand it. Didn't want to know. And now they've had a go at it. Oh, they can't get enough of it. So yeah, it's funny how that's all gone that way. And to be fair, I've kind of done a bit of an old flip reverse on the whole thing. Flip the script. I flipped the script. I used to wear like baggy jeans and stuff, you know. Wouldn't be seen dead in a tracksuit. Then I bought a tracksuit. And once I discovered that comfort level of the elasticated waistband, no going back for me. Hard to get me out of one these days. Much to the annoyance of a lot of people. Going out for dinner. Me turning up in a tracksuit, a pair of Air Maxes. But they're like my clean Air Maxes. Do you get me? You get me? So yeah, it's funny how them sort of things all switch around. Never in a million years would I have thought I'd be wearing a tracksuit and a set of Air Max 90s. You know what I mean? But hey, times have got to change. And times are changing. Oh my God. How is everyone's lockdown anyway? I'll be honest with you. I bloody loved it. I'm actually back at work now, but that 4 weeks is what I've been aiming for my entire life. Staying at home and getting paid for it. That was the dream. For a sort of lazy, introverted, artisty type, that is unheard of. So yeah, when they said lockdown, I was straight to the art shop. Hello, 4 canvases, please. Got some big boxes of art supplies in. Didn't buy any food. Didn't panic buy the food. Bought plenty of ink, paint, brushes. By about the 4th day, when I've got 5 paintings and I'm still eating beans on toast 3 times a day, I realised I might have made a little bit of mistake. Should have prioritised, but, you know, you live and you learn. But, yeah, the lockdown, I mean, my days consist of getting up a little bit later than I should. Knocking up a little bit of breakfast, usually something that contains hash browns, getting a good few solid hours painting in, maybe a little raz on the guitar, watch a movie, make dinner, go to bed. And that was like before lockdown. So once that all kicked in, I was getting out of bed at 10 o'clock, making a bit of breakfast, painting, pretty much exactly the same. But the wages were coming in a bit. And I didn't have to get up the next day, which was nice. But my sleep habits got a little bit out of control. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have a bit of trouble with going to sleep anyway. Not so much that I have trouble like falling asleep, it's just going to bed. I don't usually go to bed until gone midnight at any time. So I spend most of my day being tired, and then I'll eat dinner, go to bed, and that's when my brain wakes up, it seems. It's like once everyone else has gone to bed and it's quiet, that's when my day starts almost. Everything else is just things that I have to do, and then in the evening, that's things I want to do. So yeah, it's always been a thing, even since I was a kid. Like my mum and dad stay up real late. Like even now, they're in their 60s and they go to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I must have got it from there, I guess. Because my brother and my sister are the same. My girlfriend will go to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening, happily. And get up at like 5. I mean, it's probably the same amount of daytime, but it's just shifted. But I find it very hard to nap. I'm not a napper, you know? I am not a napper. And I never have been able to. If I feel like I need a nap, I know. I'm like, I need it. But it's so rare. And I don't know if it's because I recently actually was reading about dreaming. And because I don't remember my dreams ever, really. And I think it's because I don't sleep enough. I don't get that REM deep sleep. So that's why I think I don't dream. Or if I do dream, I don't remember it. Which it turns out I think it's actually pretty bad for you. You need your sleep to regenerate, you know, rejuvenate. Maybe I should get that Post Malone face tattoo. Always tired. seems to just be, yeah, I don't know. I just like sitting up at night, drawing and writing or whatever I'm doing. I've never been an early bird, but yeah, the lockdown's been, it's been strange, but lucky for me, I've got hobbies that involve just me and not much else. You know, you got to feel bad for people whose hobby is, you know, climbing or go-kart racing or something like that, where it's quite a specific amount of things you need to do it. I just need a piece of paper and I can just doodle for hours. So I was lucky enough I could smash out some artwork. I've always been like that. I've got kind of creative parents, so I've drawn or whatever, you know, ever since I can remember. I mean, even at primary school, I remember there was a clothing brand came out in the UK called Spliffy. I think it might have even been Spliffy Ranger. But the logo was like a little sort of dreadlock fella with a spliff, which obviously schools banned immediately. But I could draw it. It was real basic, and I remember kids used to get me to draw the logo on their books and stuff. So I remember doing that. And secondary school, I was lucky enough to have like a mental art teacher. He was this little short Scotsman. He had a little ginger man bun. This is like before the man bun, and he was vegan too. I think he was the first vegan I ever met. And yeah, he was just like really eccentric, and he really sort of pushed us to be creative, and that was really, really good. I remember when I told him I wasn't going to pursue like an art degree, and I was going to go into construction when I left school, and he was a bit disappointed, you know. But he, you know, I think he understood it. But to be honest, I've probably done more art in my own time since then, because I feel like I need to. It's not a job where I have to. But art was always a good way to be funny and, you know, a bit controversial or whatever, without actually having to do it. I remember at secondary school around it was September 11th, I drew a little cartoon. I mean, you know, I was only a kid. I didn't get the sort of scale of the actual disaster. But I drew like a little satirical cartoon about the Twin Towers. And just like a doodle sort of thing, you know. And my teacher found it, and she thought that I was having issues coming to terms with what I'd seen on the news. So my parents got called up, and they were like, no, it's just a drawing, he does it all the time. And my teacher was sort of convinced I might need counselling or something, but it was like, I was like, whoa, like, you know, it's powerful, man. Art can be real powerful, and if it's used in the right way or the wrong way, you know, you can have some quite serious consequences, both positive and negative. And that was a real like eye opener to me. Like, wow, look how much attention I can get from just scribbling something down. That was a real sort of eye opener for me. So yeah, the lockdown, I've managed to do a bit, and I've also managed to sort of sell a bit, which was a surprise. I didn't think people would be wanting to buy artwork, in these economically unstable times. But no, they did, and I'm really grateful for that. It's cool to see local people supporting local people. It's good, and it's nice that people are willing to part with their money for it, because I feel like it's important. If you've got a friend who's got a skill, pay them for that skill. I like to dabble in a bit of mechanics. Nothing too heavy, but if I get to a point where I'm out of my depth, then I'll get a friend to come and help me. I'll sort them out for it, because it's like you're paying for that knowledge. There's a great story. I mean, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was like, I think it was Picasso. A woman met him in a park, and was like, "Oh my God, you're Picasso." I don't know where she was from with that accent, but she was like, "Could you draw me a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So he does a little Picasso doodle of her, and he says that'll be, like $100, or it wouldn't be dollars, but you get my point. And she's outraged. How can you charge that much? It only took you like 2 minutes. And he says, it didn't take me 2 minutes. That's taken me my entire life. You're paying for that skill. That doesn't just happen overnight. It takes years. So people seem to forget that art is a skill. And I don't mind, I'll do stuff for my friends for, free or discount rate or whatever. But it's when people presume they're getting it for free. It's like, it takes a lot of time. And even if you've got that skill to be able to draw something fast, you've got to still take time out of what you could be doing something else, So if you've got a friend and they've got a skill and you need that skill, help them out, because one day they might need you, and then it's reciprocal. So that's about all I gotta say about that. And I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been interesting doing this. Flick me a message. Let me know what you thought. I'm going to do a few more. Try and, find my groove. But thanks to everyone who's tuned in. And catch you later. Sayonara.